Is Guardian saved? Hell no. It's bad. It's very bad.
It's not looking good, man.
It's sorry, we have to do this video because we're both fans of Guardian Druid for a long time, and to begin with, we kind of were excited with the first iteration of like the philosophy of Guardian. We were kind of having some hopes.
It was looking like it was gonna go into a good direction, and it seems like slowly but surely it's taking the prot paladin route, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So let's actually talk a little bit about what are the problems overall with Guardian Druid and what was fixed.
Yeah, the fix. I think like initially, like we always talked about, like Guardian Druid in Dragonflight was like kind of renowned for his damage because of like moonfire and stuff like that, and then some tuning happened.
Well,
we're kind of expecting that, to be honest, but
see, the thing is with Bear is that it was doing like 60 to 70% of its damage in moonfire damage, which was
we were expecting.
It's a silly breakdown. However, even with that damage, it was behind other tanks. The main problem with any necessarily tank, especially Pro Warrior and Guardian Druid, is not necessarily a problem that we have right now, but usually at the beginning of an expansion, resource generation can actually put the tank into a good or a bad position. Fortunately, Protection Warrior has had this addressed, which is amazing, but Bear not so much. And the issue with the right hand side of the talent tree is that most regeneration talents are there, and they're placed in a weird position where you're kind of forced into taking bad talents, which normally we shouldn't even have, but you still have to take bad talents to get to regeneration, otherwise you don't really have anything. And overall, the right hand side, outside of the arcane damage and the moonfire, like 3 nodes, it's pretty bad. So you had to pick bad talents to get regeneration just to function as a spec. And even with the buffs, I think it was, what was it? Maul has had its attack power scaling buff from 85.5% to 119. So it's quite a bit of a buff in terms, but
Mangle too.
Yeah, Mangle too. But Maul is, you know, consuming rage. So, you know, that's neither here nor there. And Mangle has had like a slight 8% buff in its attack power scaling, which is not much. However, the big, let's say, offender would be the Twin Moonfire nerf, which is down from 20% extra damage to 10% extra damage, which Twin Moonfire was about, from what I understand, talking with the big bears in the Dream Grove, about 30 to 40% of your overall damage. So you've lost damage that you still have to take because it's, you know, it's in the realms of actually doing a decent amount of damage and also getting the rage generation. So it's just a little bit weird.
Even that damage being lower than other tanks, at least it made you function a little bit. But now it's looking like with the nerfs and with the fact that you are forced to go into like the arcane route. So you basically have the right side of the tree, which you have to go there. If you want to play Guardian Druid and have it work somehow, you have to go there. That in and of itself poses big issues when you're talking about the general things about the talents, because this should have never happened. You have a million different specs, and you know, we kind of give always this example, Prot Warrior, where you have like a trillion different synergies and routes you can go for. Not the case with Bear. The thing is that the changes made like the bad things worse and the good things even worse also.
Still worse. Well, that's the thing, because Pro Warrior had similar issues normally in the history of its development at the beginning of expansions with Bear. But the way that they did the talent tree right now, because the positioning is also important since the talents have been moved around quite a bit. So the positioning, if you look at the overall Pro Warrior talent tree, is that the big rage generation is really at the top, really accessible in the middle, as opposed to like bottom right or all the way right side for Bear.
Because that's how you make your spec work right there from the beginning. So
and
it's
even the capstones for Pro Warrior have rage generation, and there's like the 2 to the side, and the middle also has rage generation, while Bear just has Blood Frenzy all the way to the right hand side, with all of the Thrash talents all the way to the left hand side, not to mention, you know, all the gore and stuff is also on the right hand side, with all the mangle stuff on the left hand side. So it's just like weird pathing, weird builds, and some of them are, you know, I think what did they do? They also made Tooth and Claw a 2-pointer now. Scintillating Moonfire changed positions with Survival Instinct, Survival of the Fittest, but Survival of the Fittest is all the way in a path where if you do take it, you kind of make your accessibility towards the rage generation talents even more annoying. So I'm not understanding exactly what they're supposed to accomplish with this. It feels like the philosophies, they don't know, they're just trying things out and hopefully this works. maybe there's something missing here.
It feels like they went out of their way to make it worse, man. The Guardian had its problems in general. The Druid talent tree, general Druid talent tree had its, I think the only spec or specs at this point you can talk about being good is like Feral, which is not good, it's great, and probably Boomkin as well.
Yeah.
There's issues on Resto, but I think the biggest problem is with Guardian. And starting it off from like how they changed this spec, moving towards like from the alpha and the beta all the way up until now, it looks like they went out of their way to make it suck. It's taken all of the talents like to just have your spec function decently. I mean, this is the thing. We usually have this type of discussion, I don't know, maybe in the middle of the season or somewhere down the road to the patches, when you see like meta establishment in the side, like gameplay or builds being adapted for specific scenarios. This is how you want to sell your expansion to the Guardian Druid players. You cannot have this. The same argument for Protection Paladins as well. It's like everything is worse now. Like the damage is nerfed, and you know, with that moonfire damage that you mentioned, you were still behind all of the other tanks. The tankiness, I guess it's all right.
It's about average, and I mean, listen, with the theme of the talent tree, that was also going into a cool direction where you can have Thrash on the left hand side and Arcane on the right hand side.
We were excited
have
for
some
that.
like cool fantasy, and for the longest time I've been waiting for Bear to have a little bit more oomph to its thing.
Yeah, it
And
reminded us of Legion more or less, right? Like the Bear from Legion. So we're kind of hoping that, you know, we get some good.
And it's living in a weird world where Feral is designed so well and balance is looking so fun to play. And you have Bear, and you have the community with so many posts on the forums with all the feedback, and obviously in the Discord constantly talking about what's good and what's bad. And it feels like the community is just kind of ignored. It reminds me of, again, the Paladin community.
Yeah.
And it's like, right now, talking with the big bears, it feels like pretty much everybody just accepted their fate. And it's kind of sad to see when we live in a world where so many specs can be so amazing. And if you're like narrowly minded into playing, let's say something like a bear, like a red paladin or like a prop paladin, you're like your whole view of the expansion is heavily skewed into like, well, this is gonna suck because my spec is bad.
Yeah, this is the thing. They kind of they severely missed the mark on the whole philosophy of talent trees being customizable and allowing you to try different things while not being as a super disadvantage. Well, it turns out for the latest changes for Bear, that's not the case at all. And if you go into like the Dream Grove Discord right now and look at the Guardian side of things, everybody's up in arms on this. And it's not only about, you know, people reacting or being like super overly dramatic. It's like you talk with Katha or Pumps or, you know, people who actually, you know, play for the longest time Bear and Theorycraft and shit like that. And they're like, oh, fuck it, man. This is, you know, this is broken. This is not going to work at all. Hopefully, it's not the last iteration we will see for Guardian, but as it looks right now, it's very bad.
That's a good point, man, because all this is fair and well, but we are getting closer and closer to the release of the expansion, and the spec is looking to be more and more unfinished, and with the changes that happen, making some things worse just feels like they're not on the same page.
Somebody's arguing over there.
Definitely missing something, and I don't know how much more time we have left, and we already have issues with stuff like Red Paladin, like Prop Paladin, like Shadow Priest, where specs feel unfinished, and we add a Bear on top of it, although Bear kind of has been in this bucket for a while now, and we're starting to wonder, like, okay, are there like different companies working on these specs than the ones that, you know, are performing so well, like Feral and Unholy and Rogues as well?
It feels like that, man, and I'm pretty sure there's some internal struggle over there, maybe some lack of time or resources allocated to specific classes or rather specs within it. But is Guardian Druid saved? Nah, I mean the main conclusion of it is you know, damage was nerfed. You know, tankiness, I guess it's decent, but rage generation is really bad. It makes you. It's kind of forcing you to go into like nerf talents, which just sucks, and that is just to function. So on the hopes of this not
Fingers
being
crossed.
the final version of Guardian, we're addressing our little 2 cents on it because it's not okay.
Give me back my bear, man.
It's not
I want my
good.
bear back.
Yeah, hopefully this
Bear
will change in the future. I cannot wait to see some updates on this. Man, it's not
looking closer at all the blue posts that hopefully will follow through. Because actually, we didn't really even have an explanation to these changes.
No, it's again similar to the Paladin story. But hey, if you play Guardian Druid, let us know in the comments what you think about all this. Are you excited to play Guardian Druid and be an arcane bear, whatever? Man, let us know in the comments. And as always, thank you Patreons for supporting this type of content, this and many other formats to come as well. And thank you for watching the video.
Till next time.
See you tomorrow
with better news.
Yeah, tomorrow's better news. We're gonna have a TLF on a fun range. Better stick around. Bye!
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classical retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.